Hello, it's Trena from John's Furniture Repair, and I'm in the shop today with this really beautiful oak parlor table. Let me show you some details. Okay, you guys like my styrofoam backdrop? Anyways, so we've got a beautiful quarter-sawn oak parlor table here in much need of some love, structurally and finish-wise. We've got a lot of staining on this top. A lot of these things get that way just because they're often used as plant stands. But anyways, this one's actually in pretty good shape. But most of them are cracked and warped on the top. So that looks pretty good. But we've got an old varnish, shellac, goopy finish everywhere. That looks pretty bad. It's crazing in some areas. You can see that kind of the best on this top here. You see those little lines that go across the grain? That's called crazing or alligatoring. So finish is having a hard time. And you need to get that off and refinish if you like. Some people like this look. It's kind of got its own texture, but we are refinishing this piece. So we've got nice, beautiful turned oak legs that come down to a glass ball clawfoot. And this second shelf does have a crack in it, so we have to fix that. And there's two of these brackets underneath here. One is completely broken off there, and the other one, I believe is, I don't know, I'll show you when I turn it upside down, also very broken. So we need to fix those and maybe make a new one. But in general, it's in great shape. So let's get on the workbench, take it apart, and make it beautiful. Alrighty, so we've got it all apart. This is that second shelf. It's got a split right here. So I'm just going to line that split up right against the edge of the table. And I'm going to give it one whack. More than one. And break that right there. It was a glue job on that joint, but it was not a good glue job on that joint. So we're just going to clean that up and give it a proper lamination. I'm probably going to put this through the jointer, because it's been done before. It's pretty messed up, so we'll have a little bit of a profile to deal with on that. But we'll do the minimal. And everything else is looking pretty good. Those two pieces, the brackets that are for the bottom shelf that are broken, I think we'll repair these rather than make new ones, because I like to use the things that are here. It's basically, you can't even see they're broken on this side. But when you turn it over, this one's missing a little piece here, this one's missing a whole side. So we'll get those repaired. And other than that, I just have to take these claw feet off. Usually that's just a little screw here. The customer wanted these finished in brass, but I'm trying to figure out a way to do this without making it look like this. Kind of don't really like the idea of paint. Never looks good. Okay, so I've got these two sides jointed. I'm just going to do a flat lamination. And the amount I took off was very minimal. So if it was a larger amount, I would put a piece of wood in between and then carve that back up to the profile. But I'll show you up here close. That's our one side, and that's how much, come on, focus for me. That's how much we're off there. So it's enough that I could put something in there, but also I could leave it and just center the piece between the two and make it work, which is what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to glue this together. Okay. So I'm just going to glue it together so that is centered in the middle. And then I'll just sand that profile and feather it back in. yeah. Okay. When you start with a puny brush, you don't want to get another one full of stain, and now you're staining a giant top with a puny brush.
A third of the way through, you don't want to stop and do it with a brush.
Yeah. So I'm just going to be here for the next 10 minutes with this tiny little brush. Look at that oak. That is some nice green.
Yeah, I like that.
Isn't that pretty?
That looks like nothing to do.
Right? If it's this kind of oak.
You lost the skin off.
Somewhere.
No, I didn't. It's right here.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, there it is. That's a horrible
Can we all stick to the rules, please?
I don't think there's any rules. I think
So, Dad, I need you to help me touch up a black shiny piano.
That's your weekly topic.
Alrighty, this really did stain up so beautifully. I'm so excited for this table. It's really turning out nicely. I'm gonna put it together because I like to spray things that way. Less chance of messing up your finish. So we're just going to get all these bolts back in. Oh, this styrofoam kind of stuck to my legs there. Not too bad. Anyways, we're gonna get these all in place with the brackets. 3 out of the 4 brackets have the holes that I need. So we're gonna cut that one last hole when everything's in place. That way I know exactly where it needs to go. Okay, so that's kind of loosely on there. Then I'm just gonna take the shelf and install those brackets on first because that's easier to get installed on the bottom. And these I did number because they were still on. So depends if I can still see my numbers here. After all the lovely sanding. This is a 1. So I'll go there. By the way, last week when I did the video without any talking, you guys were really gracious about it, but also somebody said the most sweetest thing ever. And I'm not going to say names because I don't want people to be pointed out anyways, but this one made me cry a little bit. I will be honest if you're listening. I was reading through comments, and like a secondary comment to one of the comments was, it's like waiting for a friend all week, or it's like waiting to talk to a friend all week. But I guess I'll talk to her next week. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'll never do it again. Anyways, loud and clear. I got it. You want me to blab away, so here I am. Blab it away. I'll keep doing it. Just kidding. Anyways, let's get these on, and then I know exactly where to drill this. I could mark it out versus the other ones, but these tables are always a little wonky, and things kind of go where they are and nowhere else. So I'm going to wait to do that until I've got all 3 other of these installed, and then I'll know for sure that it's going to fit. These tables, they can be actually quite difficult. I've had a couple in the last 2 years or so And because they are used as plant stands, they usually get a lot of warpage going on. And a lot of these things will break, the tops will split, and they just do not want to sit centered. So of all the tables that I've seen like this one's actually in really great shape. It's not warped, it's not distorted, it's just needing a nice refinish and a few repairs on these brackets, which is super minor. So that's good. Nice to see when people take care of their furniture that they love. They get to save some cost on repairs. And because these were not marked, I'm going to kind of go by a couple things. These have just a singular hole, and this one has 1, 2, 3 holes. And it looks like someone has tried to fit it in a couple different situations. So when I'm looking at that says maybe the one that had some damage is there. I mean, there was damage to 2 of them, but I think the other one was still intact to screw in. So that's what I'm going to guess first. We're going to put our one without the hole towards that leg and then screw these other ones in and see how that looks. So I'm also missing 1 screw, but that's okay because I've got lots of spares. Just get these started in here. Would you like a pizza? Sorry. Oh, that's not actually too bad. Okay. So this would have to come right into there. Okay, that doesn't look too bad. I'm going to clamp this leg in place and see how that looks. Rare that I get a guess on the first time. Okay, so what I'm going to look for now is just do these legs angle at the same angle, and do they all kind of line up on the planes on all 4 corners, or is there one, you know, really sticking out really far? Okay, starting with a 9/16 spade bit to get the hole. We're gonna go straight into the leg. Okay. Dullest bit in the world. That moved my clamp a little bit. So let's just pop this back up. This will most likely go into one of the holes that exist already. It's wanting to move it down. So it's finding one of those holes. And if I look where my bit's coming out, haven't drilled it into it or anything, but it's right on this side here. So that's good. We'll just push it over and put it back into this hole, which is a little higher and a little bit over. So let me grab a screw right there. I'm always getting my elbow in the shot. I used a slightly excessive screw. Okay, that looks good. Good stuff. Okay, so last thing we can do is tighten up those bolts down there so that everything's super tight, and then we'll get it off to the finishing booth. I think I'll put a little bit of stain in this screw hole that we drilled out so it looks like the others, but that looks good. Alrighty, so I put a coat on this table last night and it's looking really good. But this is an okay place to stop if you're not interested in toning, but the factory finishes on these pieces had a little bit more going on. So we're gonna add a shadow effect on this piece. Not quite a sunburst, but a little bit of shading on the edge and in some of the recesses of the turnings. And so first things first, we're gonna do a sand before we add the color work. So I'm just gonna do a 320 and we'll sand the whole thing, top to bottom. Very lightly because this is just one coat of lacquer. I'm not putting a lot of pressure down on my sandpaper. Just hitting those high points and getting off any little dust nibs. All right, so this is the next day. I did the shading and one coat of lacquer over top. So you can just kind of see a very subtle difference, a little bit of depth to the color. And down here as well, the spindles have a little bit more depth to their shape and color. So it's just a little bit of an upgrade on the finish. So it needs to be sanded down and a couple more coats of lacquer. It's still pretty dry, so we'll leave that alone for now and turn our attention over to those beautiful little clawfoot glass ball feet that I've been playing around with. Okay, so you can see here I've got a few painted. This is what it was after we cleaned it all up. So what I've been doing is giving it a nice wash with some alcohol so we don't have any oils or things that will impede some sticky paint. And then I've got gold leaf in crushed up paint form, which is what you're seeing on these. Here it's metallic gold leaf paint. It's actually pieces of gold in a gluey type of substrate. Sorry, not substrate, but medium, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So what I've been doing is just giving these a coat of this gold. This is the first step of the process. And it's just a little bit messy, but so I'll do probably 2 coats of that just to cover all the metal on that piece. So I'll put that aside. And then after it's dry, we have this, which looks really nice, really like metally, a little too bright for an antique, but nice and bright and gold. And so I take the finest Scotch pad there is, which is the white, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a buff. This smooths it out because the paint goes on a little bit, as gold leaf does, kind of bumpy. Just a bit of a smooth out, so that's nice and smooth now. And then we're going to take some gel stain, and this is actually Old Master's Spanish Oak, which is very black. And we're going to get that all over this piece. because although gold is beautiful, I don't really want these to be big shiny feet that stick out on the bottom there. That's a little bit too much. There we go. So that's all covered. Then we'll take a cloth and just wipe that glaze off, kind of leaving it hang up in the details and giving it a little bit more depth. Just be careful not to take off too much. So I kind of want that dirty look like that, because these are supposed to be owed, which they still are, but and there. So we'll just let that dry. That's kind of what I'm going for, which will look really nice, I think, on the bottom of those feet. Kind of makes these guys stand out a little bit more. So I'll carry on with the rest of them, and we are rounding the corner on this project. So a couple more coats on that guy, and we're ready to go. Okay, shop update time. Let's head on in. I got new glass in my doors. Shop dog's gonna love that. Okie dokie. We've got a heater installed. We're doing a radiant tube heat just like our shop in Ontario. But of course it's not hooked up all the way because we're waiting for power from Sask Power for the pole and the new transformer at the road. And we're still waiting till January for that. So that's kind of left unhooked just so it breathes. And yeah, that's basically the biggest update. Is we've got that heater in. The electrical guys kind of finished up their stuff that they can do before the hookups. This is still, it's just sitting here. Everything's kind of waiting for that. So the doors look really great. Shop dog's gonna just love sitting there and looking out. And it's a nice bright opening, so I think that's really great. But anyways, I'm just using it as some storage right now for some furniture that's waiting to be picked up or waiting to be worked on. So at least I can do that. But yeah, that's the update for now. So thanks so much for being interested in the progress. But it's still going to be a little ways till we have this place up and running, waiting for that pole out there. Well, you can't win them all, guys. This isn't done. And I'll be fighting with it this week. But I wanted to show you the end of this video right now, so you don't have to wait a whole other week to talk to me. It looks beautiful, doesn't it? Absolutely beautiful from here. All the colors working beautifully together. Gorgeous oak, really popping. But we've got major issues on this top. We've got contamination in this very porous grain. Take a look. You're going to find, there you go. See these little holes that are popping through that lacquer? I have tried everything, but we're going to be stripping this top down again and doing a grain filler and a wax remover, contaminant remover. It's not playing nice. So this is a beautiful top when you don't look in the light, but this is not working. But anyways, that's how it goes in finishing. I don't always show you when it doesn't work. Usually I can fix it in time to show you the end result, and it's fine. But this one's just being a persistent little bugger. So the contamination in that very porous grain, perhaps when it was sitting with no finish on it for so long, who knows what got into the grain, and that is causing some major issues with the lacquer. So I have tried everything. It's time to scrape that down and start over. But this is the end result. It'll look the same when it's done, but we'll just have that beautiful finish. So thanks for joining me on this one, guys. It's been a journey for me that you haven't seen all of the things that I've been struggling with here, and I'm sorry I didn't share them because I know you want me to. But I was frustrated, so sometimes I get stuck in my head and I just let it go. But it is gorgeous nonetheless, and it will be when I get that finish all straightened out. So thanks so much for joining me on this one, guys, and I hope you enjoyed it. And please do like and subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. We have plenty of other videos where the finishes work out beautifully. Anyways, if you want to support me while we do these videos, you can buy me a coffee. The link is in the description below this video. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Cheers.